Hey, this is Mo Lunsford at Union Grove Lumber Studios.
And this is the Shed Geek. We want to welcome you to today's episode.
Welcome back to part 2 of a 2-part episode. Be sure to go back and listen to part 1. You might have missed something. Hope you enjoy the conversation today. I eavesdropped on a conversation out there between two rigs today, and they were talking about you can't just take a truck driver and make a shed hauler out of them. You know, just because you're a good truck driver does not mean you're a good shed hauler. And it just hit me again that it is a unique business model in the fact that you got to know, I mean, we learned today, you got to learn how to deal with customers.
Yeah.
You got to know how to drive a rig. You got to know how to run a mule. You got to know how to handle all these different situations. And you got to know how to kind of halfway tell what level is or not.
Yeah.
You know, it's such a wide variety of stuff you have to do that it takes, and the equipment makes it easier.
Yeah.
So I'm not particularly fond of telling somebody that they can get into this business for $50,000. I did, but I don't think it's real smart to tell somebody they can do that. And 3 months down the road, they're frustrated. They lost 50. Like if they would have spent 150, they'd probably stay in business. So I guess there's two sides to the ditch. I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You can't. And if you go haul them for some of these companies, these guys are hauling for, you have to have a certain amount of equipment to handle what they want you to do.
Yeah. Yeah. You just really hardly can get started for 50 anymore. Like I mean you're probably up comfortable. You know, to be reasonable, realistic, you should be up closer to 75 to 100. Mm-hmm. To
bottom line
on the bottom side of it, mm-hmm. to really be successful. Otherwise, you're going to really. And there's some niche stuff that you can do if you're wanting to move just custom buildings and that's a really good market too. Mm-hmm. If you want to move just movers and stuff for anybody, that can be done with less small trailer,
True.
Small mule, and but it's not going to be steady like hauling for a company. But
I wrote an article kind of alluding to the one size fits all model, and I was like, there's just so many different ways you can be successful. I think that sometimes we fall victim to being in the one size fits all, like what your experience was. I'll tell you, here's a good example. We had this conversation earlier. I didn't grow up in the Anabaptist community. And I remember when it hit me, it might have been Richard Miller that said it, but someone said it. If you know one Amish person, you've met one Amish person. If you are not Amish, everyone's Amish, they're the same. Boom. End of story. Right. Same with Baptist, Pentecostal, you name it, whatever. You go through any denomination. But it's that way in any company setting or anything, too.
True,
like I dealt with these guys. So, like, they're all this way. Or this guy's a shed hauler, so I need to do it this way. Are we allowing ourselves to open up even the possibility that there's different options and not label everyone that it has to be this one size fits all? Because there's a lot of guys who are doing things that are very unique and being successful at them. But it goes along with your point. There's still a bare minimum in some ways that it seems you need to get in, but maybe you don't have to have the biggest truck, the coolest truck, the nicest paint job, the best wheels, the everything decked out and all that right off the bat.
It's just hard though. It's like, but if somebody's getting in though, and they're getting started, and they don't have a lot of experience or very little experience, what they really need is like Sam Sworry or somebody like what you were just saying, Tyler. They need somebody to bounce stuff off of.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, otherwise you can do that. Like obviously, the type of stuff that we deal with is like you can still buy a trailer for $20,000. And you can find some old trailers, but I've seen time and time again where, instead of buying the $20,000 trailer, you buy the $50,000 trailer and make way more money.
Oh yeah.
Because you can deliver twice as many buildings and not be broke down But if you don't know that coming in, you're going to buy something cheap that looks like it might work,
and you're working on it all the time.
Oh yeah.
And then breakdowns. The expensive part is the lost income, it's usually not the parts.
100%. You lose more in lost income than you do fixing whatever you're doing. That's been now that part does go across the trucking industry. It's very seldom, unless you buy a cat.
then you're going to spend so much money that it costs more to fix the motor than your downtime does.
No, that'd be
Or
picking on
Ford.
Cat now.
Or a 40
Or
set.
Ford. It's you going back to what you said about what you can haul with that 53-foot trailer versus the 36-foot trailer. You're pulling the same thing down the road, basically burning the same fuel. It's very little more cost in pulling the extra. And the way a lot of our systems are set up with sheds right now, you get paid to haul the extra shed. Yep. It's like you were saying. And it's not just an extra shed a month. It's an extra shed every couple of days. Yeah. And it adds up to a lot of money. For me, that was not an issue. It didn't make any difference. But that is, I don't know, 75-80% of the sheds we're seeing hauled today are being hauled on rigs where they have multiple sheds. Yep. And that extra 16-foot adds up to an extra shed every couple of days. That's a big deal.
It's a huge deal.
Yeah, and they're hauling them a long ways. Look at another thing. You see twice as many semis now as you did.
Yeah.
It used to be mostly pickup trucks and a couple random semis.
Seems like since I've started, there is starting to be a big split in the shed hauling. There's the guys that are trying to stay under CDL regulations, and then everybody else is starting to head for semis.
Yeah. Personally, I don't think you should be allowed to haul oversized without having CDL, but I get some.
I agree. I also don't think you should be able to pull camper trailers without a CDL.
Well, at least the big motorhomes like Jonathan has and pull that 40-foot.
You see my wife run the motorhome?
No. I don't. Has. Yeah, I know. I don't. That doesn't bother me so much. I hate regulations.
Yeah.
But in certain things, if you're going to have it anyway, like it makes no sense to me how I have to have a commercial driver's license to haul a 35,000-pound down. No, I'm going to get in trouble. 37,000-pound load down the road, but I don't have to haul a 14 by 80 building that doesn't weigh enough. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a whole lot more risk in the one than the other. I don't know. It's just, yes, I don't like regulations.
You think you could ever get like a state municipal or a state worker on a podcast to talk about regulation?
Well, there's a guy in Columbia, South Carolina named Melvin that I established a good enough relationship with back in the mid-90s that I probably could, but he probably wouldn't say anything that he'd be like, well, I can't talk about that, or I can't talk about this or whatever. But and I actually know a couple DOT guys that, there again, it's interpretation of law. One DOT guy will tell you can do one thing, another one will tell you something else. That's why I fondly refer to them as revenuers, because that's all they are. You pay the right amount of money, you can do whatever you want to do. It's all about the money. Follow the money.
Tax collectors.
They're tax collectors. They're, I call them the external. Instead of the internal revenue service, they're the external revenue service. That's all they are.
They definitely contribute to some burnout.
Oh yes, it does contribute to burnout. Honestly, when I finally got fed up and said I had enough was after I had like 3 of them in a week from 2 different drivers, me being one of them, and it was like we were getting hit every day in Florida for no reason whatsoever. I'm like, you know what? I don't get paid enough to do this. I'm gonna go find something else to do.
So like when you get like a ticket and it's like your rig's not safe for our roads, you're like, your roads are not safe for my rig.
Yes. Good luck telling them that. They don't like that answer for some reason.
Well, Sam can definitely speak to that living in South Carolina.
Oh, yeah, we got 3-bedroom apartments out in the middle of 85. They're just under the ground. Yeah. You fall in those suckers, you can't get back out of them. I will say this. As bad as South Carolina is, I travel enough that there are some other states that just make me thank the good Lord that I live in South Carolina. It's incredible. Some of the, our road system is way outdated for whatever that's worth. Where do you want to go? Where do you see Cardinal Leasing going in the next 5 years?
I don't have a good answer for that, to be honest. I mean, I think that from a big picture, from a Cardinal leasing side, equipment financing, leasing, the rent down stuff we do. I'm not sure what's going to change. I guess I honestly don't see any real big change right now in the next 5 years. I think
you brought Tyler on board. You're happy with where you're going.
Yeah, I'm happy with where we're going. My goal is to keep seeing what we can do to somehow improve things a little bit more, because I think I think the drivers. You asked earlier about the weak link on the whole system, and I personally still think the weakest link probably is drivers. Like Tyler said, driver burnout, and that really factors in. But maybe the drivers need an NBSRA type of deal or something like that to help them. I mean, you've got the Shed Haulers Brotherhood, but I don't know how active that, like how many guys you've got in that. But to somehow get more guys pulling together to know where they need to be, and to be successful.
Well, you mentioned education, and that's something I think we need to start working on.
I think it's huge.
It's I see a lot of success stories because I hear about them behind the scenes, but there's a lot of guys that fall through the cracks.
Oh yeah.
That the problem is, in order to be a good shed hauler, you don't want to listen to anybody else.
Yeah.
The guy that has the get her done, whatever it takes attitude doesn't tend to listen very well to everybody else. So we have to come up with a way to educate that makes everybody all nice and warm and fuzzy. And that's something I think we can work on in the industry. I love the fact that you brought a hauler on board to help with this.
I think for us, that's been that's huge.
Yep.
Like I think, and with Tyler, with him hauling, spending 4 years out there hauling, if guys are calling him to try to figure out what a solution is for them, I mean, he's done that. He's been there, done that, and he knows what they're dealing with, and and he knows how frustrating it is when things aren't going good, and so it makes it so much easier.
Yeah. So you mentioned something today that I knew about, but I don't think most guys know about. You're not just Cardinal leasing as far as leasing equipment. You're actually helping people with finance side.
Yeah.
Now, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. I mean, I think that's I don't know how many people know about that. I know we haven't pushed it real hard. But that is, I don't know what number. Like if we look over the last couple of months, Tyler, I don't know if you have a number off the top of your head as far as quantity. But I know, if I look at the numbers coming through, and I don't see all of them, but I would say we do probably at least a couple loans a week on an average, and I've seen it up to 3, 4, 5 loans a week, and with just conventional loans. And that's been huge. Like that's getting more and more, and because I think,
and you're good with that.
Oh,
yeah,
totally.
Okay.
Yeah, well, and the funny thing about it is and totally being transparent here. I get $150 to do that. That's what we get paid for.
Yeah, you're not making
we're not making any money out of it at all. It's a total pass through, and basically we get paid $150 to connect the dots and handle the paperwork, connect it with a bank, and we pass it on over, and it's just a bank loan. That's all it is. Nothing fancy.
Yep.
I always tell people, like, if they have got a really good relationship with their banker and they have got a plan, go for it. Go do it. No problem.
Yeah.
But this is basically, we've got a set of people, with the bank that we're set up with, that, a set of people that just know what trailers and mules are.
Yeah.
And they've got, I have no idea how many, 100 units that we've got financed over the last couple of years, over the last 6-8 years now with them. And they love it. And honestly, like I just had we just met. We were, it's been a couple months ago. We were, Tyler and I had actually met with the bank again, just kind of catch up. It was right at the time Tyler started.
Yep.
I'm like, hey, let's go up, sit down with these guys. And at that time, they told us they had not had a single bad experience.
Wow.
And I know I've been copied on an email since then. I'm not sure how that all worked out, but
you don't ever want to get copied in emails.
Or no, actually, I take that back. I got sent an email, so I tagged Tyler on it, and
I got you.
So I was the guy.
Poor Tyler's the guy that got copied.
I'm like, hey Tyler, could you take care of this one here and see what you can do? But what I'm saying is they like it. They really like it, and so they've been doing some really good rates, and they're just really good to work with.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I know in, let me think a minute, 2014, when I went into my local bank that I'd been banking with for 15 years, you know, I went in there and, you know, I told them, you try to explain to them that, hey, I need this piece of equipment. And, you know, it's a little machine that looks a little bit like a forklift, but it does this, it moves buildings. And, you know, and I want $18,000.
yeah.
You know, now they're asking 55, you know, and I wanted 18. She's like, you're going to have to explain this a little better to me. Since, you know, how can this little machine cost so much money?
Exactly.
You know, I'm like, well, don't look at it that way. Look at the amount of money it's going to make us. You know, not everybody has the ability to go in a bank and have that credibility set up to where basically she told me she'll give it to me because she knows me.
Yeah.
You know, so we have to have better options out there. I love the fact that you actually promote your leasing side as a short-term fix. You know, do this, work on it, and get out of it.
Yep.
You know, and I love that part of it. I don't think. Sometimes I feel like we need to work. I can help you work better on that part.
Mm-hmm.
That it's, you know, it's the nature of the beast that it is what it is, but don't let it become a crutch to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it
You know?
can.
Yeah, it can.
It can.
Yeah.
And you know, it can be, and it can actually be successful doing that. I've had guys where, you know, it's going to be short term, and then, you know, 6 months down the road, instead of you know, switching that or paying that off, we add another piece and another piece and another piece, and it truly works. You know, but just be careful. Like, you know, like Tyler's saying, you know your numbers, know where you're at. And just because, because it is easy. It is easy. Like if you call Tyler and you've got a piece of equipment, he can have the money wired this afternoon and send you the paperwork, sign it, and go. And it is way easier than setting up an appointment next week with a banker and trying to figure out what you're going to do. And
that's exactly what one of the things I wanted to get at yet was the fact that our equipment moves so fast.
Yeah.
That by the time you go in and talk to your bank and they talk to their people and their people talk back to them, and by the time the equipment's gone.
Yeah.
We've seen this happen so many times over and over. You know, and that's a point I wanted to make was the fact that you guys can move fairly fast.
Yeah. We can, like,
I've seen you guys move fast.
In most cases, within a couple hours.
Yeah.
Seriously, it can be done. And if it's equipment, you know, if it's trailers and stuff, we'll put the tags on it and everything. Like it'll be ready to go.
Yeah.
Like we can make it happen, get you on the road, and you're going.
Yep.
And so it's a huge advantage.
Yeah.
In some of those cases.
I'm curious at your thoughts on, like, because you are so knowledgeable about the equipment side, but also the building side, where do you think finance has its place in the structures side? And is that something you guys do or plan to, or?
So we're actually currently using the same bank with buildings, but it's on a much smaller level. I think it has its place. I think the dollar amounts are so much lower that there's not as much difference. And maybe that's just my perspective. It probably is, because on the one minute we're talking about 150,000, the next minute we're talking about 10,000. I'm saying, well, you save 1,000, who cares? But it's $1,000.
Yeah, there is a big difference there.
You know, if the customer saves money, that's what they want, and so I think there's definitely a need for it and a market for it, but it's not something we're doing in house currently, but it is something we're working with the same bank actually. And but it's like probably like a lot of guys are doing, you know, dabbling with it. I know RTO National does pretty good at it, actually, like doing the whole thing together. Most companies don't do the whole thing together, and so it's like, here's a secondary option.
Yeah.
You do it, but it's just not very smooth. And so whereas everybody pretty much now, if you're doing a rent down, hey, your same point of sale system, whatever else you got, just fill it out. It's so easy. So easy. You just do it. But I would like to see more of it. I don't see it at all as competing with the rent down market. Like I think in the same way, if it helps the customer. I mean, every time in all of these situations, if the customer wins, we win. Like it truly works
absolutely.
that way. Like that's like 100% of the time, that's what happens. And sometimes that means we make less money on one deal. But in the big picture, it's always better that way.
I'm always looking. So like we haven't really put a whole lot out there publicly yet, and I can't go out with my means and start a whole finance program, but I've done a really good job of like partnering with people. And one thing I found real quick was like there's just not that appetite for those typically for those FICO scores that are 500, 600, 650. You know, you get to about 680. You know, that's where, you know, you're getting good prime credit. You know, they typically got good debt to income. But I mean, you see what happens with like these big banks, you know, and what's the average home? I don't know.
Oh my word. Yeah.
$400,000. I don't know
what the average
but,
is right now.
You know, there's much bigger fish in the pond for these banks that to go on after an unsecured loan, you know, for $6,000, $10,000, $12,000, they don't have a big appetite. And so you know, a lot of people will just sit back and say, and we could probably have a whole podcast over this. Rent-to-own's expensive. We need another option. We got to start with the misnomer of rent-to-own being expensive, and we can do that. And if you don't know, go back and listen to Richard Miller's podcast episode, and that'll solve that for you. But, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, until it gets competitive, like rent-to-own is, in my opinion, that the deal starts working out best for the consumer, because you're just not going to get someone with stress, strained, or poor credit and credit history getting a prime rate at a low credit score. Exactly. So until banks get competitive, but it has to start somewhere. And like until some more people jump into it, and it will take its toe a bit on RTO because it can have, you know, you can have more customers, but I think it's really just a matter of like doing what's best for your customer.
Yeah. If you do that, Sam and I have had this conversation. Sam has bugged me and says, hey, you know, we've got to come up with something on equipment between doing leases and finance. There's got to be some middle ground. And I'm not saying there's not. I mean, I'm not saying that's not possible, but there obviously hasn't been, for myself, just hasn't been a lot of appetite for it, because I know what happens on the equipment. I know what happens. And Sam knows what happens sometimes.
Gets beat up.
I mean, we deal like.
No.
And it is disappointing.
They leave them sitting on the side of the interstate in Georgia.
Oh boy, we just opened up a can of worms.
But if we do a really good job at helping those people phase us out, or you know, keep them educated, it works really well.
Yeah.
It really works really well. And I'll be honest, over the last, 4 years since, I like the way Tyler said that. I mean, he's one of the 2020 group. But through this last 4 years, this is not. It's the 90-10% deal. But it's might even have been higher than 10% over the last 4 years. Where there's more bad apples out there, and we've found some of them.
Oh yeah, you will.
And and so.
Unlock the power of productivity with Cardinal Leasing. Are you looking to elevate your business operations with top-tier equipment? Look no further than Cardinal Leasing. We offer a wide range of reliable and high-quality equipment tailored to meet your unique needs. Flexible leasing options. Whether you need short-term rentals or long-term solutions, our customizable leasing plans are designed to provide maximum flexibility and affordability. Conventional financing available. Cardinal Leasing also offers great conventional finance options for those of you that prefer that over-lease purchase options. Expert support. Our team of experienced professionals is here to guide you every step of the way, ensuring a seamless leasing experience. Boost efficiency. With our top-of-the-line equipment, you can enhance productivity, reduce downtime, and achieve your business goals faster. Why choose Cardinal Leasing? Competitive rates, exceptional customer service, hassle-free process, quick and easy approvals. Don't let outdated equipment hold you back. Partner with Cardinal Leasing today and take your business to the next level. Contact us now. Visit our website at equipment.cardinalleasing.us or call us at 618-803-4086 to get started.
What about
And,
these theft rings? Like, I mean, should we? Well, we can edit all that. I'm just saying. What about like this? I mean, all these
it sneaks
rumors. What about all these rumors of like, you know, all the buildings going missing and organized theft and things like that? And how can you protect against that? I mean, those are conversations that I didn't hear 12 years ago, didn't hear 5 years ago, and I don't think I heard 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wow.
I mean, spotty stuff was happening 3 years ago, probably.
Yeah.
But I've seen a lot more, and I mean, obviously we've had it on equipment too.
Yeah. Just
And,
for the record, I seen it back in 2016, 2017, and that's already 7 years ago. It's a little hard to believe 2017, 7
Yeah,
years ago.
that's true.
But there was very much organized theft going on with sheds.
They just had 3 buildings go missing from Highland, Illinois.
Yeah.
I saw
Yeah.
that on the page
Yeah.
last
Yeah.
week.
Well, so I had posted that Martin's had 3 missing, but there was Miller's that Arthur had another 2 or 3 on that same lot.
Wow.
They all got pulled off over the weekend.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, we were for a while there. Yeah, we weren't too worried about it, but we've been more concerned because we've had stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's so you know what you guys were talking back and forth about a little bit about why would a lending company lend 10 grand out on something when they can lend one guy 250 grand
Yeah.
instead of having to have 25 guys. It's always more risk to do that. But going to any little town that has, I don't know, I'm going to shoot a wild number here, 15,000 people in it, and you'll find 4 small finance companies. The Green Trees, the whatever they are, First Franklin, all those little guys. Something's happening. Those guys aren't just loaning out. You know, they're doing the little. Back when I was using them to sell sheds, you know, the branch manager could approve up to $6,500 without anything, and that covered most of my sheds.
I forgot about that. We were
You
using
know.
American General for a while.
Yeah,
They were one of those small.
So those guys were doing that.
Yeah.
So there's somebody's picking up that piece of the pie and using it. But I know for me personally, if I can have one client at 250,000 versus 10 of them
Yeah.
at 25, or 25 of them at 10, which way am I going to go? So I don't know. It's a little bit. So you have to make a little better money on those smaller ones to cover your risk because you have more risk.
Yeah,
You have
risk.
10 times more people.
That's something that'll probably surprise people. And Jonathan, I know you could speak to that in like the RTO world. That would probably blow the socks off of most people, the amount of risk versus the reward
Yeah.
that you actually make, because it's you know, there's been some obviously successful RTO companies and like they can push dollars around and things like that. But you might be surprised at what they had to go through to get to where they are, because there's a lot of risk out there, and it doesn't take but one bad apple to really run an RTO company.
Yeah, you can. Yeah,
You know,
you can have a pretty strong rent-to-own company, and if they run into that one bad deal,
yeah. Well, and there's no
changes
regulation. Have
in
you
a
noticed
hurry.
there's no regulation? Me and Dennis were talking about that.
No,
there's no regulation to sign people up, and I think RTO companies were just as bad as the other companies who are like, "Hey, I'm tired of this dealer. Bring me your."
Yeah.
I think RTO companies are the same way. Like, "Oh, that guy couldn't service you. You know, like we'll take you on." And there's no. To me, that's where the NBS are. I know you can't make a blacklist and all that stuff. I know there's some legalities, and I don't need Edwin breathing down my neck or anything, you know. So I'm not trying to stir up anything. I'm just saying it seems like that's where we could do a better job of coming together to eliminate those dealers and customers who default, not just default, but they're
They're thieves.
thieves. Thank you. I was going to say troublesome.
you can cut that out.
no, it's just call it what it is. It's, you know,
And no, you're right, and I think though I've from my side, and I'm not from a business side, big picture. we haven't been trying to take over the world like a lot of these guys have been over the last 5 years, and but even those that have been trying to see what all they can do, the appetite has really softened over the last year.
Thank you. That's a very recognizable point. I wholeheartedly agree.
I mean, so it's gone from where, and obviously we've seen it on equipment. So like if we look at the whole industry,
Shannon's biting his lip.
I'll go.
ahead.
Well, I'll go as far to say, if you are signing up with an RTO company, you need to understand. This is going to get me in trouble, isn't it? I can feel it. You feel the Holy Spirit every time you shut your mouth. It doesn't mean they have money. It means they have access to money in most cases.
Yeah, but okay, but even take it a step
Some
further.
Some do have money.
Yes,
I'm saying,
I get that. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
But in most cases, you have access to money, so it's still back to a know your numbers game.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, and they hitting one down payment 60 months on 97% of their contracts, and they're trying to sell off a $10 million portfolio, and you're like, you just handed me a bunch of junk contracts or immature contracts. Like, that's why the banks are pulling back, because you're trying to grow at such a rapid pace. It's like the guy that was making 25 making 100 grand. If you need those years of struggle.
Yeah.
Because like the bank's gonna yank their money.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get in trouble. I'm not trying to call anyone out or anything like that. It's just, I mean, private equity's still a good thing. Just saying, you know, like you gotta, and I'm far from being super knowledgeable about this. I'm learning every day, Jonathan. Yeah. So like you could school me on all of this, but
I know you're on the right track there. I mean, you're. I think it is like. I just, basically where I was going is, so you're talking about how rent-to-own companies, maybe we could do a better job of actually weeding out dealers and stuff. What I'm saying is flip the coin a little bit, though, too. If you're the dealer, which you pretty much said it for me, if you're the dealer, be careful who you sign up with, too, because you want a system that works and and it's just been, everybody's been struggling a bit more.
Ask questions, vet the process. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like,
Gosh,
find a consultation group somewhere and ask them to kind of help guide you or something.
That's not a Facebook page.
Right. Good point.
Some nights I'm sitting there on my couch and, some guy gets on there. Nobody has researched the guy. Nobody knows the guy. He's Mr. I can't use any name because every name I bring up it refers to somebody.
You can use my name.
But yeah, okay. Mr. Jonathan comes on and says, "Hey, I need a rent-to-own company. Will somebody give me a?" And 15 companies get listed, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, "What are we doing? Like, we're going to give a reference over the phone, and we've seen this. They go sign the guy up without ever doing any." Calling anybody. What, have you used another rent-to-own company before? Or, why are you looking for one? Oh no, you got to use this company. There, it's like when you see this on my personal page when they ask about where they should go to church.
Yes,
and I'm like, did you ever think about asking the Lord where you should go to church instead of the community page? And everybody's like, oh, you got to go here because they have the best kids program anybody has, or you got to go over here because we have better worship service.
My favorite on that is always like, we don't want to go here because they don't have a good program. I'm like, you ever consider the Lord's calling you to start a kids program? You know what I mean?
Or like, I'll be honest with you. I heard a pastor on Thursday night just flat out tell a group of 200 men, you know what? We need to back off on kids programs. We need to focus on men's programs.
Oh man!
And I wanted to stand up and
amen.
Get the men to church. You typically get the family, right?
Well, yeah. But we have that backwards. You get the family and you'll get the man. I've heard that from the pulpit. Yeah. And it's the same way. It's. I don't. There again, I hate legislation, but it's like you can literally just walk into an office and sign a guy up on a rent.
Well, so
that's one thing Dave was really good at, though.
Miller?
Dave Miller, he's picky about his paperwork.
Yeah.
You don't just give him $1 million check and say, here, go invest my money. He's like, whoa. We're going to sign some papers.
Addressing your Facebook comment, I must be just ready to end my career today. It's a popularity contest.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
It's a popularity contest.
On the church or the rent-to-own company.
Yeah, and it's like
or the
how
manufacturer.
Many, and
I
I
need
think
a, you know.
I think some people are like, I'm genuinely happy. I want to refer my company, but
Oh,
like,
I'm not saying that. Yeah, I agree.
you know what I
but
mean?
it's-
So I believe that to be true. But typically speaking, it's like it becomes, and it's like, wait a minute, we're not in this for the popularity contest. Honestly, a lot of good companies typically get mentioned, just like a lot of good equipment options, or you know what I mean, like whatever it is. You know, we've tried not to make an enemy out of any of our competition in marketing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're just like, hey, it'd be better to be friends with them. Because this is what happens, Jonathan. Tell me I'm wrong. Hey, we're thinking about leaving our marketing company and coming over to you guys. So I'm supposed to get giddy and all excited that you're coming over until I don't investigate and find out what's going on. Because I know who you're coming from. And they're a good company.
Why are you leaving?
Why are you leaving? They're a pretty good company. I'm going to have to dive into that
They're
a little
leaving
bit
because you're
more.
$100 cheaper. They're going to leave you again once you're $100 too
Well,
expensive.
or if they're leaving because of a simple misunderstanding, they're going to leave us too.
Yeah.
We're not going to last very long. So, I mean, it's the same with RTO. It's the same as if you leave one of who you're with selling sheds right now, especially if you're on a consignment lot. Like I said, I might as well just quit today. Podcast
Yeah,
is
you're
over.
You're just going, I don't.
I don't know what somebody slipped something in my drink or what, but I'm normally never this loose
It's
on my
Jonathan.
tongue.
So
But
from now
it's-
on, we're just going to refer Cardinal Leasing
Yeah,
to
well,
everything.
it's going to be Tyler though, because
Yeah.
Tyler had this funny joke. This is actually hilarious. So when we were talking about slow times in the winter and stuff, and so he had mentioned that he switched and started hauling for this local company, and I don't even know who this is, so I'm not going to mention any names. So hopefully I won't get myself in trouble.
Oh, now you're going to burn your bridges.
Maybe I shouldn't say this.
No,
It'll be
we're
all right.
going.
Okay, so he said for 3 years he hauled for this company, and every winter they were busy. It's like, well, that's weird. Well, he said every winter we changed hands.
Oh, well, that makes sense. No wonder we're busy.
We were opening up blue lots and hauling inventory every
well,
winter.
that's a good point.
It's,
You can't do it in the summertime. You're too busy.
Exactly.
So you have to do it in the
So in the
winter.
winter
time.
something would happen.
They started to get stable this year, so I
Yeah.
needed to find.
So you had to
I
go
was
find
worried.
something else to do.
Yeah, I was
You
worried about
you
winter work.
Yeah, no
yeah.
winter work. Yeah, that's a
I
good
would
point.
much rather pick up a client on my merits and on the things we qualify with in a cool, calm, and collected manner. I'd never really, it's almost a red flag immediately for them to call them up and be like, this company's, messing me around over here.
Yeah.
And you're like, maybe,
Yeah,
might be true.
it might be true.
But
Well, okay. So part of that's just you're gaining wisdom as you go along, and that's part of life. We should all be going through that.
Yeah.
I've learned not to do some of the same stuff.
True, yeah.
Like I won't tell somebody not to go buy a Ford anymore. I'll tell them to go find out if there's a good Ford dealership in their town, which there's not going to be, but they have to go find that out.
what a setup.
I wondered where this was going.
But it's the same. We see guys come in, and I hate to use the fact that we've been around a long time, but after you've been around a while, the experience starts stacking up, and it's like. Introducing the Challenger, the revolutionary new shed mover that's taking the industry by storm. The Challenger features a touchless design, ensuring it only makes contact at the end of the skids and the bottom of the floor joists, so rest easy knowing your gable walls will remain pristine. Worried about reliability? Fear not, the Challenger is always up for the challenge and will not overturn or scuff your shed. Harness the power of innovative wireless technology. Remotely control the Challenger via your smartphone. No cell service needed. And guess what? The cell phone remote comes standard with every Challenger at no extra cost. Featuring floating forks, a 4-directional tilting mast, and sliding weight transfer, move the shed weight precisely where you need it to get ultimate traction. With self-loading capability, straight onto your truck, say goodbye to the need for a hydraulic carriage. The Challenger makes your job easy and more efficient. Choose from 2 machine sizes, 10,000 pounds and 15,000 pounds. Perfect for any job. Visit www.shedchallenger.com
or email us at info@shedchallenger.com or call or text 828-220-3508 for more information. Experience the future of shed moving with the Challenger.
Well, and we don't need more experience. We've already had our experience.
No, I don't want any more.
And you don't
I'm
want
done.
And you don't want other people to go through some of the things that you've gone through.
But then other times I look at them, I'm like, you know what? Just go that route. That's that's fine.
Yeah, sometimes you just got.
Yeah. And I do believe you are right. I feel like 99% of the time, the referrals are given from people who are excited about who they're referring.
Yeah.
And you hope so, and I
Yes.
like to see that.
And
even if they're
think-
referring
So maybe we
my
should just
company,
flip
I'm
it.
always kind of like, hey, make sure you're happy with us.
Does that anonymous button still work on your
yeah.
page?
Yeah.
I might just go on there and be like, instead of y'all referring programs to me, who do you not refer?
I love that. Be careful, Sam.
No, it's like,
Well, I would go far enough to say, probably don't get your referral from Facebook.
Yeah.
well, that's my point.
Matter of fact, if you do, and if you do see names on there, call every one of them.
Yeah.
Call every one
Yeah,
of
why
them
would you
and
call the
interview
first one
every
and be
one
happy
of
with
them.
that
and
one?
Don't.
My favorite answer has now become there's multiple ones.
Oh, even
You
call
have
the
to
ones
find
not
one
listed,
you
you know?
have to find the one that fits you. Why would you make such an important decision based off of one phone call?
Yeah.
You
Or
know,
or one recommendation on a Facebook post or something like that.
They're pretty good. Pretty much anymore, you can have a firestorm in about 3 hours. If you ask for some, they're going to give you,
Yeah. Well, it's kind of interesting because earlier on you said, I've been on your Facebook page for a long time, and I have, but I bet if you would, I'm not a social media person.
Yeah.
And probably if you go back and look, I wonder if I put 10 posts on the Shed Holders page total, or 20 maybe. But
I doubt it.
But it's, I like.
I can actually look.
You should look just out of curiosity, and it's.
I just want to tell everybody who's ever recommended our services on any of those, if you've done it out of pure satisfaction for what we've done, thank you.
Yeah.
And the check is in the mail.
Oh, I knew he was going somewhere with this because there was no way he was getting out of that one.
Wait a
minute.
minute. For your
Where's my
service.
check?
It's in the mail.
It's in the mail.
It's in the mail.
Yeah, that's back to that Kentucky mail that never seems to reach
Yeah.
South Carolina.
Exactly.
Oh,
I don't
that's
know.
good.
This conversation's great because it's like I don't feel like I'm. I realize a lot of people are going to listen to this, but sometimes I feel like I'm just talking with just the four of
yeah.
us. The mic just caught it, but some of those things need to be said. It's okay,
But I haven't been talking too much. We haven't heard Tyler too much yet.
we haven't. And
He kind of snuck. Well, no, he didn't completely sneak out.
what
of it,
questions do you guys have, or what do you? I need to be quiet. I was
No,
supposed
you're
to be
fine.
gone.
Yeah, no, we're all good. I don't have the nerve you do to ask that question because I'm not sure I got the right answers yet. But yeah, what? This is your time. What do you want to get out there that people know about? What do you want to ask? Or, put your plug in. This is your free plug. You pay for the regular plug, so you're doing good at that. I love it. But
Yeah, you got that
thank
one
you.
on me.
Yeah, I got that one on you. So
Pressure's on you. I'm sorry. We're all looking at you like, come on, you got to do it.
No, I would be happy to help anybody that's looking to get equipment, used or new.
Yeah.
We'll do our best to help the industry move forward, and we look forward to working with you.
And normally I would ask for your information, but your commercial will be on this episode somewhere. So just go back and listen to the Cardinal Leasing, and you'll have all the info.
Yeah, you'll hear Sam talk.
Yeah.
And you can click.
yeah,
You can
oops.
even click on the newsletter when it goes out. It goes
Yeah,
straight to
yeah,
their
yeah.
website.
You can-
So if if you need to find out, where to find information, sign up for the newsletter. You'll see it.
And we have tried to make just now this last week, we finally got our application process for the traditional loan is you can do it on your phone now instead of having to print it out.
wow.
Nice.
Nice.
So you can send out a link or whatever, and they can just do it right on there. How did they find it?
It's on the
Yeah.
website.
It's on the website.
It's on the website,
Okay.
or I can send you a link on an email.
Or you can send a link on the email. That's pretty cool. On the traditional side.
And it's just about if we send the paper copy out, it's literally one page.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
not like a
It's
typical
not that.
bank loan
Okay.
that. Because again, and this is not like I'm bragging up on the other guys, not on us, but like this is like these guys do trailers, trucks, and just shed hauling stuff, mules.
Yep.
For us. And so basically, it's like this is all you need. It's one page.
Yeah, that's cool.
They don't need your whole life history and 3 of your children and whatever else that they might need to go with it. It's really simple.
Quick response time, and boom, and you can be in a trailer that
That's
that
cool.
day almost.
Almost, yeah.
It's I don't know why. Like I honestly thought earlier this year we would see a decline. So there is a lot of equipment out there that's been available for quite a while, but it's not choice equipment.
Yeah.
Choice equipment still disappears in a hurry. And as you guys well know, a lot of it's not even making the equipment page right now.
Yeah.
It's selling before it ever gets there. I've got 2 guys right now that they know I was going to be here this weekend. They're like, keep your ears open. If you know of anything that's possibly for sale up there, let us know. We're looking for stuff. And it's crazy.
Yeah.
How it just keeps right
Got a text
on.
while we was here. You know this guy? He's selling a mule. Just want to make sure he's straight up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know him, but I'll ask around. You know what I mean? Like that's.
Oh yeah. Well, we've had some guys get burnt pretty bad on that side too. And you know what? I'll always come back to this. If you get burned on something, and I find out that you didn't ask me about it, sorry, can't help you. You could have asked some questions. I don't know everybody. Don't get me wrong. I'll tell you if I don't, but ask.
Yeah.
I've
Back
even
to the-
warned. Go ahead, Tyler. No, go ahead, Tyler.
Back to the know your numbers, though. When you're looking at used equipment, please check new equipment prices before buying the used equipment because there have been some mules being advertised used for more expensive than new mules are going for right now.
Are mules caught up right now? Do you guys can you pretty much get a mule pretty quick?
Pretty much.
Because the reason for that was I'll pay $5,000 more to get a mule today versus getting one in 90 days. Because I can make the $5,000 in 90 days.
Last I knew, they had everything in stock except maybe the 70/40s, but the 70/40s was like a couple weeks out.
Yeah. And that was coming directly from Cardinal, but some of the others, like I don't know what WKM or Pine Hill, what those guys have got. I don't know if they've got any
what's
inventory
going on.
right now,
Yeah.
but yeah, they're pretty available.
So we're catching up a little
Actually
bit.
catching up. That's good.
Yeah,
that's
that
really
is
good.
Yep.
And because I think actually today they had 1 or 2 here that weren't sold, and for about the first time in 4 or 5 years that there were actually machines available that you could get. So
If you guys don't know Jonathan personally, you need to get to know him.
Oh, I thought he was going to say thank you.
No, he's a
you're
good-
doing good.
Yeah,
So I didn't know what he was going to say.
checks
Boy,
in the mail.
just threw that out there. Oh, we're getting more checks in the mail. I'm still looking for these checks. I feel like you're a little bit like me. You show up at all the events. You're open. You love talking to your people. I feel like your heart's in the industry. Your family's always on board with you. I love your family to death. I can't say enough good about your family. You put me in the hospital almost, but your wife bailed me from that. So it ended up, she's over there. But did he just say that? So the only time I ever got COVID, I got it from this guy.
I remember you were in Marion.
Yeah, I was in Marion. I
Charlene,
went and
Charlene has to run down to Kentucky to pick him up because
I'm like, off in La La
we're
Land.
going to have to haul this kid off to the hospital. He's not going anywhere himself. So she goes and picks him up and drags him back.
I actually feel like, other than the part of being isolated, which is nuts, other than that, I feel like I handled it fairly well, and that's mostly thanks to your lovely wife.
Yeah.
So I'll throw a plug in here too, as if we haven't done enough already. But one, thank you for sponsoring, and two, like we're capitalistic here at the podcast. Like, guess who we're going to promote? We're going to promote those who sponsor. So, I'm encouraging other people to sponsor. But we want to be fair, and we will be fair. But right now, I mean, we're pushing everybody your way. So I mean, like that's a competitive advantage that you get whenever you do spend money, whether Sam brought you or not. You know what I mean?
Oh boy. Here we go again. All right. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Shed Geek Podcast. Before Shannon actually burns his house down any further than he already has.
I don't know.
So, no, it's all good. It's always a pleasure to hang out.
Same here.
Maybe we'll get a hunting trip in together somewhere before we both keel over dead.
Yeah, we need to do that.
I heard that seems to be a popular thing around you lately is to just keel over.
When I'm out with Chase and they need to hold me off. So.
I didn't even get that in this episode, but if you decide to go hunting with a Kaufman, all I'm going to say is you better have a really good pack mule to carry you around, or you better be in shape.
Yeah.
Because those Kaufman boys, they don't mess around.
That's right.
They'll wear you out
They
in a
will
hurry.
wear you out.
So, yes.
Yep.
Thank y'all for being on today. Thank you guys out there in podcast land for listening today. Thank you, Shannon, for being willing to join in today from the Midwest barbecue in Indiana.
Always fun.
Always fun. Thank you, guys.
Hey, this is Mo Lunsford in sunny Union Grove, North Carolina, and we want to say thank you to all the guests and listeners.